What's going on, guys? Welcome back to BlackTideTV. I think it's just about time that we get into a brand new Call of Duty Infinite Warfare Epic Variant review, and so today's subject will be the Type 2 Butcher. I was actually extremely surprised to see the amount of votes the Type 2 Butcher received on the most recent Twitter poll. If you did not know, or maybe you weren't aware, I often post a Twitter poll to my Twitter page at BlackTideTV and ask you guys, of the 4 options provided, which epic variant would you like me to cover in the next week's episode? Now, I will not be posting a poll this week, as even if I include other options, I still feel like the same weapon will come out on top, and I personally am interested in seeing how this weapon will perform as well. So next week we will be covering the Oni Tengu, which unlocks at level 30 of the Blood Anvil 5th and final mission team. So look forward to that one, but I often post a poll with 4 options, and the Type 2 Butcher has been featured in many a poll to date, and it often receives less than 2 votes. Generally, people forget about the Butcher, they want to see other weapons, and then in the most recent poll, the Butcher was the most wanted weapon of all. Everyone was voting for it, everybody wants the Butcher, and I was kind of confused at this at first. I was like, well, why do people want to see the Butcher if it's been so undervalued for so long? And then it came to me. The Type 2 recently received a pretty substantial buff, making it one of the more competitive weapons in the entire game, and players such as yourselves are likely interested in hearing how that buff has affected the epic variant of the Type 2, the Type 2 Butcher. Unfortunately, that buff has had no effect whatsoever on the Type 2 Butcher, as the Type 2 Butcher shares the same assault rifle portion as any other Type 2 variant in the game. Essentially, the Type 2 is a hybrid weapon. It starts off as an assault rifle, and you can hold triangle, or whatever your reload button is, to pull that weapon apart into akimbo auto pistols. They're auto pistols. A lot of people like to consider them SMGs. This is simply untrue. Damage, range, and other statistics definitely lean towards auto pistols. Now, with the Type 2 Butcher, you are pulling that weapon apart and gaining akimbo shotguns instead of akimbo auto pistols, but the assault rifle, the base assault rifle at the bottom of the Type 2 Butcher, is the exact same as any other Type 2 in the game. Now, that most recent patch that did buff the Type 2 only buffed the assault rifle portion of the weapon. So it increased the fire rate and reduced the recoil of the assault rifle portion of the weapon, making it very competitive when in assault rifle mode, and further guaranteeing the fact that most players keep this weapon in assault rifle mode at all times. I rarely see people pulling this thing apart and using akimbo shotguns or akimbo auto pistols. Generally, people like to keep the Type 2 together, and with that most recent buff, people are keeping it together more than ever before. Now, that being said, the Type 2 Butcher akimbo shotguns were influenced by a recent patch, albeit negatively, often swept under the rug in the exact same patch where the Type 2 received increased fire rate and reduced recoil. The akimbo pistol version of the Type 2, the hybrid element to the Type 2, received a nerf, increasing hipfire spread. And this did affect the Type 2 Butcher, so the hipfire cone of the Type 2 Butcher akimbo shotguns is much larger than it ever was before, which is of course a detriment to this weapon, as the weapon was never good to begin with. Before I go any farther, and before I forget, Slipknot, look it up, let's take a look at these weapon traits and see what we're dealing with the Type 2 Butcher. So first off, we've got the epic trait 87, which I've been talking about the entire time. Alternate mode now fires as akimbo shotguns, and the common trait readiness will allow you to reload faster when your magazine is low, stacking with dexterity. So that is of course the new version of readiness. Before, readiness would only allow you to reload faster when your magazine was completely empty, and now your magazine just needs to be low. So whenever you see the flashing red reload button on your screen, whenever you get down to, I believe it's 25% of your ammo capacity, you will reload faster with this weapon, which I find to be pretty useless, as the Type 2 Butcher is an energy weapon, and with energy weapons, I like to use fusion magazines. Fusion magazines essentially give you unlimited ammo so long as you never reload your weapon manually. If you reload your weapon manually, you're essentially throwing out a fusion magazine, and that battery will never come back to you. It will never regen ammo for you again. Whereas if you just leave a couple bullets in the chamber, or in the magazine, I guess I should say, in the battery, it will regen itself and you will get unlimited ammo. So fusion magazines outplay reloading with this weapon, even if you're using scavenger, so readiness is more or less off the table. It is effective with the shotguns, as you will likely never get a kill with the 7 shots that come in the shotguns, and you will have to reload them once or twice in every gunfight because they're that poor, but all the same, readiness is fairly useless. Now the shotguns themselves are also fairly useless. They are very, very dumpy in terms of range, damage, fire rate, everything. So when you're using these standard Type 2, you have akimbo auto pistols. You don't have to pull the trigger each and every time when you're using the akimbo version of a regular Type 2. So why do we have to pull the trigger each and every time when we're using the akimbo shotguns with the Type 2 Butcher? Don't ask me, I don't know. But these are semi-automatic shotguns, something that they failed to give us information on, and I got screwed over a couple times the first time I was using this weapon, as I'm sitting there holding down the button like, it's not working, it's not shooting. You have to pull the trigger manually to get the shotguns to do anything, which is the first big problem with this weapon. The second big problem with this weapon, as previously mentioned, dumpy damage, dumpy range. While I have no exact statistics on the shotgun portion of this weapon, the guys cracking game code on the Reddit spreadsheet have yet to update, and hand testing shotguns is an absolute nightmare. I can guarantee you that this weapon sucks. Real bad. Really, really bad. It takes 4+ shots to kill with a semi-automatic shotgun, even at point blank range, and if they are beyond the length of your dick, you might as well try spitting on them because it's not worth it. You will not get the kill with the shotgun. It's very, very difficult to get kills at any type of range with these shotguns. They do an abysmal amount of damage, and they only have 5 pellets in each shot. The average shotgun has 8 pellets, these have 5, so they have lower damage to begin with, and less pellets on top of that. So you're going to have a very, very rough time trying to use this shotgun portion of the Type 2 Butcher, and I would honestly advise that you just stay away from it. In the end, guys, is the Type 2 Butcher worth it? Fuck no. If you're one of those players that never swaps the akimbo version of the Type 2 anyways, and you already have the Type 2 Butcher in your inventory, I would use it. It's got a pretty cool camouflage on there. I'm a big fan of the bright orange. But if you're licking your lips looking at that 87 going, ooh, just like the Modern Warfare 2 1887, calm your tatas. It's not that good. That's going to conclude today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you're looking out for that Oni Tengu review coming out next week, and we'll have more videos a little later today. So hit the like button, subscribe, turn on your notifications, follow me on Twitter at BlackTideTV, support me on Patreon, there's a link on the screen, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.